these are the things that may characterize a road safety personnel. Yeah.
You as a person, what were the things that motivated you to choose that as a career?
Well, my mom is a nurse, so growing up, I had a flair for medical sciences. Sometimes I go to the hospital with her. I see some people pass on. Sometimes I see road traffic crash victims brought to the hospital. Some are dead on arrival. Some are taken to accidental emergency for medical attention. So I've always thought to myself, can I stand this? If I can, what can I do to make this different, to make this better? I never even nursed dreams of becoming an FRSC officer. It was not on my top 3 list of possible careers, you know. So, but then here we are. And over the years, we've been able to put a lot into the job towards ensuring that we reduce the rate of road traffic crashes and, of course, sustain a safe motoring environment.
And I'm sure you are happy with what
Yes,
you do.
I am. Very excited.
And you are fulfilled too.
Of course I am, without a doubt.
All right, there are some issues that even as a person, I still struggle very hard to differentiate. And that's what I'm going to ask you now.
Okay.
At times when it comes to this issue of overlapping of roads on our roads, we see the police on the roads, we see the VIO, vehicle inspection officers, we see even state traffic management agencies, and then we have the FRSC on the road. Now, what are the specific roles of these various organizations I just mentioned, and how do you interrelate on the roads?
These agencies of government all have the statutory provisions which established them. Like in the FRSC, for instance, I speak for FRSC, so I'll speak from an FRSC standpoint. We have what is called the FRSC Establishment Act 2007. That's the act that established FRSC as an agency of government, and that has saddled us with a lot of responsibilities. You know, there are so many functions of the FRSC. Okay. So I think all these other agencies you have mentioned actually have their defined job functions and responsibilities as well. So all these agencies are governed by that particular statute books or the acts which established the respective agencies. Okay. As far as FRSC is concerned, we have the right, the basic mandate of FRSC is to ensure that there's reduction of road traffic crashes and sustenance of a safe motoring environment in Nigeria. But to do that, we do so many other things. Enforcement, education and enlightenment, design and production of driver's license and vehicle number plates, recommending works and devices for government, you know, on how to make the roads safer, and a number of other things, clearing up obstructions, emergency response to distress calls from road traffic crashes, and a number of other things. Now, let me situate it within the context of the question you have asked. Each of these agencies also have their mandate. So, but sometimes people feel that there are overlapping functions. Well, I personally do not agree with that. Okay. And people always look at it from the standpoint of how would FRSC ask me for my driver's license? We need to know. That's police, Nigerian police force will ask me for my driver's license. The vehicle inspection officers will ask me for my driver's license. You know, so we need to understand that some of these documents are legal documents. Let's start with driver's license. This is defined as a legal document that confers a right on anybody to use a motorized device on any Nigerian road. So if it is a legal device, it means that any of these agencies that has the legal powers vested in them can demand for that particular document. And you know, through this, we've been able to recover a lot of stolen vehicles. For instance, in the case of a police, they are stopped and the police officer asks you, can I have your vehicle papers? You give it to him, and then he asks for your driver's license. And then he discovers that there's a variance. The name on the vehicle license and the name on the driver's license is kind of different. That spurs him to ask you further questions. He wants to be sure that the vehicle is actually, a lot of stolen vehicles have been recovered in that process. But when you say that the police officer is entitled to ask you for your driver's license, how does he do his job? So these are legal frameworks that binds all these agencies together. One thing that is important is, as members of the public, we must be knowledgeable so that you know where the limitation of this particular agency, this is where it ends. So once he starts to ask me for X, Y, Z, it is out of the context of the legal framework which confers powers on his organization to administer their job.
But do you also have cases? Have you got reports where these other sister agencies probably overlap, you know, into your roles? For example, let's I'm going to play some reaction from Nigerians. We'll listen to it and then we'll talk.
work hard on Nigerian police. Most of them cause havoc on the road. You understand? How? You want to collect money from somebody, back that person very well. Then you can talk to him so that he will not cause any unnecessary hold-up. You understand? That is what is happening on the road. They cause unnecessary hold-up. So road safety corps should try to minimize it on the road and let them look into all these potholes.
After the condition that at least they should control the traffic and the junctions. Most of them in the also here. I don't know about the traffic there, and then somewhere another solution here. Then most of the time, maybe during the evening, and then they should always be at alert and should always be on the road so that they can manage the traffic. And then people need to be sanitized. That's okay. They're just doing the road radio jingles, so that most of the commercial drivers they don't even know much about the traffic rules. They have to manage the road. At least I expect them to do all those things. Orientation is very important. Most of the Nigeria here, we need orientation, how to drive on the road and how to maintain the road.
You just heard the reaction of some Nigerians talking about things going on our roads. And one of the allegations there is that at times when the policemen or other traffic agencies flag off cars, they do that wrongly. They still let them be on the road and start asking for whatever it is that they are asking for. Have you got any such reports from members of the public?
Reports like this are not uncommon.
Okay.
You know, for every agency of government, there may be a little bit deviation, here and there.
Okay.
And that, of course, justifies the fact that we cannot have perfection. Nonetheless, when we receive these complaints, we try to evaluate them. Someone has come forward to say, okay, I wasn't parked properly, or they asked me to park in a particular place that could be dangerous or hazardous to myself and other people.
Okay.
If I will look at it, we try to investigate it. If it is substantiated, we call the particular staff in question and we tell him this is wrong. This is not what the book has asked you to do. So there are checks and
your
balances.
staff or the staff of your sister agency.
Well, like I told you earlier.
So what I'm trying to bring out of it is where you have such issues.
Yes.
How do you relate with the other sister agencies? Say the police, like the person that spoke here now, accused the police of wrong parking, asking drivers to park, and by doing that they do it wrongly.
Well,
as the number one traffic agency, I stand to be corrected.
Yes,
What's your role? What role do you play here?
Okay, good. And we have a very strong interagency collaboration. For all these agencies that have been listed earlier, there's a strong synergy.
Okay.
We're all partners in progress. The basic responsibility of these agencies is to ensure that we have safety and security of lives and properties. So in the course of performing those responsibilities, we owe ourselves a responsibility to also give ourselves relevant information.
Okay.
So part time, we have stakeholders forum where all these agencies are in attendance. We have paper presentations about best practices. Yeah, these are things we know. But if you check international trends, you discover that there are new innovations on a daily basis. So if we come up with those informations, we just say, okay, fine, this is what we have discovered. Let us try to do it this way. In any case, if I am transiting perhaps in my personal vehicle and I see a detachment of a particular organization who are performing their legal responsibilities, and I notice something that may result in occurrence of a road traffic crash, for instance, I have a responsibility to pull over and, of course, advise them, like, sir, I'm sorry, sir, I can't teach you your job. Of course, fundamentally, I can't. But then I feel this is not. And
an idea of what could be done.
You're correct. Then he corrects it to prevent a disaster from happening. So these are part of the things we do. So I am very sure that there's a good synergy between these organizations, and it has helped in modeling the constituents of these organizations to become better people.
All right, it's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM. We are into the second segment of the program, and basically we are looking at the traffic situation in the country. And I have in the studio this morning Mr. Oluwaseun Unijala.
You corrected yourself.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My name is Pius Nsabe. Well, we all know it's the Yuletide. We are into it, and definitely a lot of traffic issues come up at this time? It's not to say that when we are off Yuletide, there are no traffic issues, but we seem to have an increased level of activities this period, also giving rise to an increased level of traffic around the country. And that is why there is no better person in the studio to talk about such issues than a professional like him this morning. And so you can join the conversation as a concerned Nigerian. If you have issues on traffic, you can call 0908 1111 067. 0908 1111 067. Hello, good morning. Okay, you can also call 0808 0101 067. 0808 0101 067 to send us text message or WhatsApp. Reach us through 080-3804-1892. 080-3804-1892. Definitely, we will get your message and do the needful. Now, officer, I want to ask you, are you aware that we seem to be having a higher volume of traffic in the city of Ibadan than it used to be?
Yes, I am.
What's responsible for this? Are we getting richer that we are buying more cars? Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Elder Mark from Ojo.
Elder, good morning.
Morning, my brother.
You're welcome on the program.
I have a question for that, your guest.
Okay.
They were accused, in that incident where the vehicle and some of the officials were knocked down. So the mob, they tried to accuse them for collecting money from passers-by, and so then they obstructed the vehicle. He denied, saying that isn't their fault, and that if it is their fault, that he will be able to say so. Is he saying it out of his religious background or his training? Or how am I sure it's not a ploy for them to defend their name?
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Elder Mark. So,
I don't want to be unnecessarily repetitive.
Okay.
Normally and ideally, I should have declined, but I have a point of responsibility. It's an obligation I have to, of course, defend the situation where the need arises.
All right. Hello, we have another call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Okay, I think I can ask.
You said what? Safety on the road?
Yeah, about safety of the road.
Yes, what is your name and where are you calling from?
Okay, it's okay, responsible.
All right, go ahead, ask your question.
Okay, what about the meaning of helmet?
Okay.
Yeah, there's a general belief that leader has used
Your line is a bit horrible. You may have to call us back, please. We'd like to hear from you. Please do call us back. Thank you. So, officer, respond to
Mr. Mark's,
the first allegation, yes, before we move on.
Like I said earlier, FRSC is known for nobility.
Okay.
If our men in question did anything untoward which resulted in that particular crash, we would own up.
Okay.
It takes nothing away.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying it from a religious standpoint. It is just...
Okay. Hello, good morning. Yeah, I can hear you now. Where you stood, your line was breaking.
Okay, what I'm saying is that what is the briefing today about some them who ride the motorcycles without helmet.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, some other non-segment them.
All right. Thank you.
So the must lead by example. So they should show the public example.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I got his point. I think he was trying to make reference to the fact that personnel of uniformed agencies should ride with helmet. As far as FRS is concerned, no staff would dare try it. First off, you're not even allowed to ride in uniform. If you must, perhaps it's on enforcement. You're having a patrol operation, and there is a helmet that is attached to you
Okay.
So if you have to ride a motorcycle, you must use helmet. It's a point of duty.
Okay.
You know it, and if you default, of course, the same way we issue notice of offense tickets to members of the public, we issue it to ourselves.
It's not talking particularly about your own agency, other uniformed agencies.
Yes. You know, earlier I talked about stakeholder synergy. When the sector commander meets with heads of
what he's saying in essence, it seems you people give your colleagues in other sister agencies some
form of
preferences. That is the point.
Okay.
That the way you treat members of the public who are non-uniform people is slightly different from the way you treat them. For example, if you now see a soldier, for example, on his motorbike driving, you know, against the traffic rule,
yes,
would you stop him and treat him the way you would treat
I have done
a
that.
civilian?
I have done that on so many occasions. A particular point of reference is election lawyer inwards that railway crossing.
Okay.
You know, there's usually traffic sometimes.
Yes.
Then people will start driving against traffic on the other lane, meant for people coming inwards election lawyer from Ring Road, one side, wherever.
Yes.
And then there was this officer, I would not mention the organization. He was fully dressed, he was in uniform. And he was coming, and of course we were telling people to go back. And he said, I told him categorically, you are not going anywhere. And if you take this too far, of course, I had one of my men recording the footage of everything that was happening. I'll report this to the head of your organ. And he of course, obeyed. So what is good for the goose is good for the gander. Charity has to begin at home. So if we do not put these things in place, then of course.
I think that's the point the caller was trying to make. So let's move on now. That is, if you have answered the Matt's question.
Well, I don't, like I said earlier, I don't want to be too repetitive. At the end of the day, whatever I say here, some people would still form their own opinions. But for crying out loud, we lost the staff. Another one is still critically injured at accident and emergency research as to speak at the moment. So at the end of the day, what do we have to? And I have told you categorically, these men were on their legitimate duties, and they did not do anything.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Now, we were talking about the fact that the city of Ibadan, the traffic situation, it's becoming a bit worrisome in Ibadan, unlike it used to be. And I was saying, is it that we are now richer, that we buy more cars? What exactly is happening from your own perspective as a professional? Why do we have more traffic now in Ibadan? For instance, last night, I have staff here who didn't go home because of the traffic situation. Everywhere was practically blocked.
Yeah. I think we used to talk about rural-urban migration. Now, I think it is urban migration now. Because Ibadan is, the population density is becoming bigger than it used to be.
Where are they coming from?
Different places, from Lagos, from Osun State, from Ondo State. You know, Ibadan is becoming a very viable city. You know, so, and of course, with that viability comes a mass exodus of people from one location to another. So people are really coming to Ibadan to exploit the business environment. Of course, with that comes increase in number of vehicles plying the roads. It comes increase in the number of road users. You know, of course, it puts a burden on the road infrastructure. And by extension, you have traffic gridlocks all over the whole place. So that's why you see evidence of this mass movement from other locations into Ibadan. And of course, that's the reason why you have traffic gridlocks all over the whole place.
So what strategies, particularly as we move into the U-type now, what strategies are you putting in place to check that? But before then, let's hear from this caller. Hello, good morning. Hello.
How can you differentiate between your duty and that of the VIO?
Sorry. I want to know.
I got the question.
I want to know you where you're calling from.
Tell me from the.
Okay. Same man who called earlier.
Okay.
How can you differentiate between your duty and that of the VIO?
Okay.
You know, I asked you that question before, because a lot of Nigerians actually want to know some of this. Hello, good morning.
The second question is, how do you react? How do you handle the cases of we will take off the headlamp of work and remove some essential part of the vehicle that are supposed to be.
We are struggling to hear this second part of your question. I don't know if you may need to call back. All right.
So, for the first part, the difference between FRSC and VIO, I'd say that, let me start on a lighter note, the uniforms are different for starters. But then apart from that, like I said earlier, our job functions are clearly spelled out in the Establishment Act. You know, even for the VIO, they have a book that established that particular agency. And if you go through the books, you see the different responsibilities.
It seems you just want to restrict yourself just to your own, of what the book says about you. You don't want to delve into what the VIOs are. But it seems our listener wants you to, to go beyond just that. All right. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay. Good morning, sir.
And I'm calling from Olodo.
Olodo.
Okay. You're welcome on board.
Yes, we see a lot of vehicles now without brake lights, without trafficator. A lot of Okada riders, they don't want side mirrors. A lot of vehicles no side mirrors. And if you see their light at night, you will not be able to even face it. This is what I will be. I want it, and lastly, please, I want your members to please help us on the Olodo Bridge.
Okay.
Olodo Bridge is always.
Olodo Bridge, right?
Olodo Bridge.
Olodo Bridge, okay.
On the way to Iwo.
Iwo, okay, all right.
I want your people to please help us on that road.
Okay, all right.
The road is always blocked.
Okay, all right.
Especially in the night, evening.
I've taken it into cognizance. Thank you, sir.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much. Before I lose track of what we're talking about earlier, I have tried as much as possible to tell you what FRC does. I may not be able to speak for the VI, but then, I said earlier that it is imperative for members of the public to be aware. The need to know cannot be overemphasized. You need to know so that when you know these things and someone is trying to overlap on the functions of the other, you can tell him, sir, sorry, I have read the books that established. I'm not trying to challenge you. You must say it with all sense of humility. But then I feel that what you're asking me is not your job. It is simple. And then the man also knows that, so you know that kind of thing.
Maybe what we are going to do is that at some point we'll also bring some of these agencies to come and talk about
to share their insight on.
So when we hear from you and we hear from the rest,
you
should be able to delineate.
Exactly. I think that's very important. Now, let me quickly respond to brake light, side mirrors.
Yes.
We have enforcement on a daily basis. And these are some of the issues we address while we're on patrol. Sometimes last week we had what we call free vehicle safety check. In free vehicle safety check, you're not booked. You're not issued a ticket to pay. You are given a small slip that contains a list of the non-conformities observed on your vehicle. Your wipers are functional, your brake light is functional, your tires are bad. We just indicate those things. And we give you that ticket, not to pay, but to go ahead and make correction or take correction. And we give you a 14-day timeline. After 14 days, anyway your vehicle is stopped and those infractions have not been corrected, you are booked accordingly. So we do that alongside enforcement. Of course, with public education as well. This is a platform for us to tell members of the public, you must have these things in place. For motorcycle riders, presently we're still having a clampdown on motorcycles and tricycles. I don't know if you're aware of that development. Basically it's for driver's license. They have a class 8 driver's license for motorcycles and tricycles. But in the process, we're still apprehending those who do not have safety helmets, those who do not have side mirrors. And you know why they remove these things? For sake of maneuverability. So they remove the side mirror so that the motorcycle can have space to maneuver in between cars. But that is not the design. That's not the desire of the designer of the motorcycle. You should be able to have. So you see that riders have now replaced mirrors with looking at the side to see the vehicle is before they watch it. These things are very dangerous. We actually see these things. We go to their motor parks, talk to them. But after education, and you do not take correction, of course, we enforce. So a lot of work is being done. About Olodo Bridge, I have taken it into cognizance. We have a unit at Yanofa. We have a unit commander. I'll call the attention of the unit commander to it, and we'll see what we can do at Olodo Bridge to ease the pain of road users along that particular route.
We are still going to come back to your preparation towards the use tide. We'll definitely end with that. But let's talk about even the issue of traffic signs on our roads. Recently, we know that even the state government, its traffic agencies went tough on road users in this aspect of disobedience to road traffic. And some of the reactions we got from the members of the public is that you are asking people not to break traffic on the roads, but there are no traffic signs in the first place. So how do they know when they are even breaking some of the traffic rules? How do you explain this?
Traffic signs are a fundamental part of the road design. We call them road furniture. It's just like you move.
Because I know you know our roads very well.
Yes. It's like you move into a new house. You would want to buy a set of sofas, buy TV, buy a lot of things. So the same way roads also have furnitures. So the road signs and road markings are a fundamental part of it. And that's the reason why for every road design, we try as much as possible to always be a part of the process. And we tell the construction company or the road designer, this has to be here, this has to be here. And unfortunately, in some cases, some contracts are awarded to contractors without the knowledge of FRSC in some cases, not in all cases. And then you just discover that, okay, the government is giving us, we're happy for that. That's what we want development. But at the end of the day, a road is well paved, beautiful, but there are no signs to it. So if you do not have signs, it has defeated the purpose of having
and that rubs off negatively on your own job too.
Exactly. So what we now do in the alternative is what we call road audit. So we say a stretch from, say, from Dugbe to UI, for instance. Let me use that landmark. We take an audit exercise on that particular route, and we make observations. This place, school children usually get knocked down. Why? Because there's no zebra crossing, or there's no warning sign. So what we do is to indicate those things. We come up with a report at the end of the day, including potholes, including where we need to have speed breakers, and a couple of so many other things. So put all those things together, and we submit the report to government through the relevant agencies, Ministry of Works and Transportation, or any other relevant agency of government. And that's the reason why you see that these days there are certain efforts along certain routes. You see speed breakers in some places. You discover that the government is beginning to fill potholes. It is a product of road audit. So these are efforts we're trying to put in place. We understand the fact that, yes, people must have the signs in place. Now, maybe when they do not obey it, we can start to now say, okay, the signs are there, but people are not complying or obeying with those signs. But let us have the signs in place first. So I can assure you that in due course, all of these things will be a thing of the past. While conducting road audits is still ongoing. For this period, we're still going to be having road audits to ensure that we address all these challenges.
In the meantime, the government can go on, stopping or trying to arrest traffic offenders. The government, I'm bringing it down now to the state government.
Yes.
So it can still go on even without the road signs.
Well, yes, why not? The problem now is, yes, while admitting that there may not be signs in certain places, even the places where we have the signs, are people obeying those signs? I'm not trying to castigate members of the public, as it were. But then the truth is, let me not be unfairly judgmental of Nigerians, but a decent size of Nigerians do not like to obey laws. It is a painful fact. So we need to go back to the drawing board as individuals and conscientize ourselves.
Now, let's look at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It's been a culprit when it comes to this issue of road accidents. We've lost a lot of lives on that road. And of course, there's no way you can talk about your state command of the FRSC without talking about some portions of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, where unfortunately you also lost a staff recently. What could be done on that stretch of road to prevent the kind of carnage we see there?
Thank you very much. I'm sure that you're aware that rehabilitation work is ongoing on that road. And it is being conducted in phases and stages, so it's not like it's not going to end simultaneously. There are two companies working on that stretch, and then because of the fact that we've had heavy rains this year, it has slowed down the pace of construction work. But then construction engineers are still on site as we speak towards the Shagam end. Then, of course, eventually we would complete the Ibadan from Onigari, Dominion University inwards Ibadan. That stretch will be completed. Hopefully, I can't name a figure because I didn't work with the construction company. But then we are very hopeful that very soon we'll be able to complete the stretch of that road.
But is it the bad road that is causing the accidents? I
was just coming there. Before we started to have considerable progress on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, the general consensus was that, the roads are bad. That's the reason why crashes are happening. But anytime a stretch is completed, well paved, good road, we record crashes. It was responsible. We now started to realize that speeding was an issue. That was what brought about the implementation of a speed limit.
Speed limiting device, yes.
So you see, like Nigerians, like I am being careful not to want to drag us back. The truth is, when we demand for something from government and government gives it to us, we deprive ourselves of that same thing with our own conduct and action. Because when government has given you a good road and you be like, I'm on a road and I feel like this, you step on it and you do 140, 160 and you get involved in a crash and people die. So we need to start to raise consciousness from the confines of our own hearts as individuals first. It's good to ask government to demand for the dividends of democracy from government. But when you get the dividends of democracy, how do you manage it? So it's important for us to look inwards. And for the areas where the roads are not exactly so good, it behooves on you to slow down. You understand? You know that this stretch is not so good. It takes you nothing. Just slow down, navigate that path. When you get back to the good stretch, you can do your normal speed, which is, of course, advisable.
At times I'm happier when the roads are bad. Some drivers don't speed up.
That's not the desire. That's not the desire. We want good roads, absolutely good roads. But we must learn how to use
It's all right. That's actually on a lighter note.
Yeah.
It's still Voice of Liberation on Pensioners 106.7 FM. And we are looking at the traffic situation here in Oyo State. And I have a man I can easily call the spokesman of the Federal Road Safety Corps here in Oyo State. Mr. Oluwaseun Onijala. I'm always careful when calling that name, so I don't incur his wrath. So now you can join us on the program this morning. You want to ask questions, you want to share your thoughts. The lines are still open. 0908 1111 067 0908 1111 067 0808 0101 067 0808 0101 067. You can also send us a text message or WhatsApp on 0803 804 1892 0803 804 1892 to make your contribution on the program. Hello, good morning. All right. Now, this seemed to me like something that should be taken for granted, but at the same time, it seems it was a serious issue. The issue of chip whip. I don't know if you heard of that. That's leaving the issue of chip whip. Wrongly spelled chief, spelled as CHIP. Instead of chief, we have chip whip, emanating somewhere from the north. I think Kano State, to be precise. It was on the plate number of one of the legislators there. I'm not too certain if it was the speaker or deputy or okay, chief whip. Chief whip, that's an office. Now, was it really your organization that produced that document?
That's a good question. The official spokesperson of FRS in Nigeria, Corps Commander Bisi Kazim FSI, responded to that particular outrageous number plate picture that we saw on the internet. FRC has a very meticulous chain of process of production of number plates, and there's absolutely no way. These things come in templates. Okay. There's a template for the production, so there's no way we would have produced a number plate with cheap way. And then, if you listen to the defense of the supposed owner, he said, well, he doesn't know about it. Like he doesn't even have an official vehicle. There were so many claims. Of course, I cannot judge on that. But I wish to tell you very specifically and categorically that by the time investigation is concluded, you may realize that it was contracted to someone, who went illegally. Only God knows where.
But did it really happen?
Well, of course, we saw the pictures on social media.
So because these days you can see anything on social media.
Because it actually happened. That's the reason why
I, for one, didn't think it happened. I thought it was just doctored to create fun.
I do not think so. That's the reason why the public education officer responded to it in that particular manner. So that number plate did not emanate from FRC.
Okay, let's talk about a bit away from Oyo State again. Now, let's look at Anambra State. I know it's not your jurisdiction, but it's still within your purview to talk traffic issues. We had series of tanker accidents on that Onitsha axis. Within 3 weeks, we had like 3 tankers falling. Petrol-laden tankers falling practically along the same place and causing serious problem. And the state government took a step to restrict movement of such tankers between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. Is that a good step?
Well, in the medium term, I would say yes, it's a good step. But then at the same time, if we do not have alternatives, to articulated vehicles, tankers, trailers, and container-laden flatbeds, then they still must use the roads. So if we restrict their movements to, this may be my personal opinion, not like a representation of FRS's opinion. If we have restriction of movements between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m., does it mean that some of these things may still not happen within those time frames, where emergency response may even be slower? So we must start to look at a more holistic approach towards resolving the menace of articulated vehicles. It requires a collaborative effort of all agencies concerned, not just the FRSC. You understand? So it's a good one. I think Lagos to try to implement that kind of policy at some point in time.
But I don't think it worked.
Well, it may exactly not work because considering the fact that these articulated vehicles convey about 60% of all the haulage goods we have in Nigeria, and some of these things come with time frame. So if you restrict it to a certain time, there is no way she still would not move during the day. Some of the trucks have to cover as much as 48 hours straight. So it means that if it's like 8 p.m., he can only move. When it's 5 a.m., he parks. He waits till 8 p.m. So how does the good arrive at the location? So we're going to have a couple of other issues here and there. But I believe that with the passage of time, we're going to have a more holistic and a more robust solution to the menace of articulated vehicles.
All right, let's now talk about the Yuletide in which we are at the moment. There's no doubt that when it comes to this point in the year, there's a likelihood, a larger likelihood for that matter, that traffic activities increase.
Most definitely.
And this causes a number of issues. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My name is Mr. Paul.
Okay.
Coming from a area of Ibadan.
You are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, sir. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I have been listening at everything.
All right.
What I see the personal bed. And I really want to commend the Rosity operatives for their efforts. Effortlessly in ensuring safe and safe environment to the citizens of Oyo State and in Nigeria at large.
Thank you very much.
I want to say that I think the way we approach negative commendation and negative efforts, especially with our pushing it down,
Hello.
The line is breaking.
Sorry, you may need to call. Please. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Even though we didn't hear the other part of it.
I think she just tried to appreciate.
Appreciate you and all that. So let's talk about your preparedness towards the Yuletide.
Yes.
This is your state and this is your command. What have you done to ensure that we have a traffic-free, an incident-free Yuletide, negative incident-free Yuletide? Yes.
For starters, this period of the year, this stretch, is usually synonymous with increased human and vehicular traffic.
Yes.
Of course, with that comes probable acts of disobedience here and there. People want to feel like, okay, this is an opportunity to travel to Lagos 3 times as against once or twice. Fatigue sets in. Accidents may happen because of that. You see lots of over speeding because there are a lot of festivities. People will take alcohol and want to drive under the influence. We're celebrating. We're in a festive mood, so let us have fun and enjoy ourselves, and a couple of other things. So, because of the peculiarity of this period, of course, it comes with an associated increase in the rate of road traffic crashes. And then, as a command, we have put so many plans in place to ensure that we do not have this skirmishes during this period and even beyond. And then in that regards, from December the 18th, we're going to be commencing a special operation Zero Tolerance to everything. But we're even commencing the preliminary operation from Monday, by God's grace, 11th of November. It's massive deployment of personnel to traffic flashpoints. We have a couple of them. The headquarters will be road interchange. Anybody who traverses that stretch will know that place is the headquarters of traffic in Southwest, not Ibadan, in Southwest, because everybody coming from everywhere converges on that place. So you discover a number of vehicles plying that route is more than the space of road network that is available for vehicles. But we're managing the traffic. For anybody who is conversant with road, we have permanent deployment of operatives. For that reason, the management of FRSA and national headquarters established a traffic outpost at Iwo Road to man traffic situation. Now, for Monday, we're going to be having extra deployment of personnel to Iwo Road, to General Gassing Wards at Kobo, to Mokola, to UI, to Challenge, and other flashpoints where to this Akpata Odono Ilowo axis where you usually have traffic gridlocks. And the intention is to ensure that we get people to obey traffic laws, 1, 2, lane discipline. Don't start hopping from one lane to another, lane discipline, route lining, so that yes, we may have slow movement of vehicles, but then there is no gridlock, because this gridlock, it comes in a certain manner that we only see the physical pain that comes with it. The traffic is too much, but it goes way beyond just seeing the physical traffic. So we have put plans in place to deploy personnel heavily, number 1. Number 2, we have identified the areas where the road infrastructure is not exactly so good. And we have solicited the support of relevant agencies, Federal Ministry of Works and Transport and the Oyo State government to also help us with palliative rehabilitation of road infrastructure.
I know you must have. I can understand, because it's traditional with traffic agencies, and when it comes to this time. But just before we go, in few words, I'd like you to also talk to road users now. What should they do on their part to prevent some of these negative incidences on the roads?
The desire of FRSC or your sector command for this period is to have 0 deaths resulting from 0 traffic crashes, of course, and then as much as possible to minimize traffic gridlocks. This is achievable, is realistic, is measurable. We can do it if we all agree to contribute our quota as members of the public. So I want to encourage us, let us do away with all these untoward road use behaviors. Don't encourage drunk driving, don't speed, don't overtake dangerously, obey traffic laws, respect the rights of other road users. Of course, let's preach this message. And let us remember that safety is a collective responsibility. It cannot be left in the hands of officers and men in FRIC and in uniform of FRIC and other agencies alone. It is a collective responsibility for all of us.
All right. At this point, we would like to draw the curtain on the program Voice of Liberation today, November the 9th. 2019, and I want to say a very big thank you to the spokesman of the Federal Road Safety Corps here in Oyo State, Mr. Oluwaseun Onijala, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much
today.
It's nice being here.
Thank you so much for coming. And I also want to say thank you to the guest who featured earlier on the program, Mr. Babatunde Badmos, and of course his colleague, Mr. Michael Uguishina, for being on the program. And to you, our esteemed listener, of course, there's no way we'll be here without you. So thank you to you too, and for those who've been called in and those who tried to call in. And I also like to say a big thank you to the producer of this program, Tunde Tiamiu, and of course, Abiola Ayodele and Omobolaji Akintola, who have been pressing the buttons and raising the feather on this program. Thank you very much. Let's do this again sometime on Saturday. My name is Pius Nsabe. Continue to be a good Nigerian. God bless you.
The greatest legacy one can leave in building a prosperous society is to have lent a voice. The voice can therefore make a society
That was Sport Drill by Pius. That was the Voice of Liberation, rather, by Pius Nsabe. We want to join next week on this on another episode on the same Pensioners 106.7 FM at Barigo, Onireke, Ibadan. Right now, it's time for Sport Drill. Please stay tuned.
He took that as well. Serbia just not missing from long range. They're getting themselves back into contention here.
That's pass! And return with the touch. Good afternoon, world. It's another time on this precious show. Sport Drill. This is a program that has been designed for the development of sport in our state, and of course for them in Nigeria. This is where we give facts and figures, histories, how we can develop our games, our sports. Of course, another time for Sport Drill on Pensioners 106.7 FM at Barigo in the city of Ibadan. My name remains Raymond Tolulope, the Sports Illuminator, and I say I welcome you on board. It promises to be another interesting package, another interesting show entirely. And if you have been following, of course, this is probably the 4th episode, and you know how we've been doing it. I'm bringing legendaries on board. They give to us histories, they give to us how they came about their various sporting games, and of course, how it was like during their days and how they felt we can move it forward. Like I used to say, it's not just alone for the government, it's all left to every one of us to come and put our hands together and of course lift our sport in Oyo State. Today won't be different, but today will be more explosive. I've got a legend in the building, and we are going to look back into history.
Who said Inter on their way?
Arguably, one of Africa's greatest boxing referee, a judge. The only man to have gone to 6 consecutive Olympics. I'm having a big man in sport in the studio this afternoon. So call your friends, call your family, sit back, and let me take you on a sporting ride this afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. I've got in Pamwiliojo. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Raymond.
It's my pleasure being your guest this afternoon, and I thank God for giving me the enablement of appearing in one of your strategic programs on this greatest station, the first of its kind owned by any pensioners union. Not that alone, I was privileged to be on the executive committee of the Nigerian Union of Pensioners Oyo State branch when the motion that this station should be set up, and to have the opportunity of being in the program in that beautiful station, most magnificent And I don't think I've ever seen any type of it throughout the whole world which I've been traveling to. So I give kudos to the management and board members of this station. And I pray that the station will continue to work stronger and stronger.
Amen. Thank you, sir. That's a compliment from us for us. From the great man himself, Pamu Iliojo. You got to hear history today. He's going to speak a lot. So if you have your pen, you have your book, then be ready to jot down. Because this is sport class, this is sports knowledge. You call it sport drill, but definitely it's a class. And it won't be different. Sir, I want you to do a little bit of introduction so that every listener out there can know who I have in the studio this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Raymond. I am Muili Adejare Ojo, born to my father. I won't mention the names of my parents because of certain things that happened to me in sports. That's why I've decided to hide my identity a bit. My father was from Ibadan and he led ballet in one of the villages, Ganganshi, in Ibadan. My mother also was Mama Adini of that Ibeju village in Ganganshi. I attended the primary school in Ibadan. I also attended secondary school in Ibadan before I left for UK for further studies. And for the sporting activities, I was privileged to start with the Boys and Girls Club movements in Nigeria. In the Boys and Girls Club movements in Nigeria then, things were rosy, and activities centered not mainly on sports. It centered on all the various activities that could help one in life, like sports, cultural activities, literary and debating societies, broadcasting. And it was through then and that people like Dave Koshemane were discovered. Some of us were discovered in broadcasting too, during the time that Pakunle Olasope were handling broadcasting aspects of the game. And that time, Boys and Girls Club movements were very, very lucrative and very, very active. Competitions in various activities every week. And so that competition made it possible for us to be active. And I was privileged to be the Secretary General of Ibadan Federation of Boys and Girls Club movements for 9 years before I traveled to UK for further training. It was through that I majored in boxing and football. You may be surprised to hear that I was a footballer playing number 7 that time. We were calling it outside right then. And I was a corner kick specialist. And it was through the Boys and Girls Club movement too that I had to join the referee officiating team, because that time any program introduced, the clubs must be represented. And that's why I was a graded football referee. And I rose to grade 1 football status before I retired as a football referee in 1978. I was privileged to handle many, many explosive games. Shooting Stars versus WNB DC, Enugu Rangers versus Vasco, and all the rest like that. Before, it was then I was combining football with boxing officiating. I joined the boxing officiating when there was that of competitions. And that time, only 3 of us were in our category. That category then was light flyer, was paperweight. Later on, they reduced it to straw weight. But only 3 of us were in that class then. And one of the 3 then was late Joseph Ladipo. In fact, he was my sparring partner and opponent all the time. So I know it will surprise some of us hearing now that Joseph Lad was also a boxer before. But when there was also a request that boys and girls club movements should nominate people for officiating in boxing, I had to register to representing Ojagbo Boys and Girls Club movements. And consequently, I became a national referee judge in boxing in 1963. And by the grace of God, in 1968, I traveled to Zambia to qualify for officiating on the international level. And I had my international judge certificate. In 1974, at Kampala, Uganda, I became an international referee judge, double combination. Thereafter, in boxing, I had the grace of God to have refereed on 6 Olympic Games consecutively to the finals. 76.
I'm going to hold you there, sir. Getting history, getting facts, getting figures. That is why he's here. I have to tell him to hold. Because even me right here, I can tell you I'm jotting things down. Because I'm listening, I'm hearing to what I've never found on the net before. I can't believe that here in our state, we have such a great man. Wow, history been unfolded here today. I hope you are putting things down because we're still going far today. It's still 30 minutes downside of 12. Pensioners 106.7 FM Sport Drill with the Sports Illuminator Raymond Studio. I think we have to continue now.
Thank you very much. I first appeared on the Olympics in 1976 Olympics, followed by 1980 Moscow Olympic Games. It was in Moscow in 1980 that I had the grace of God, because Nigeria did not win any medal in that games. But it was only the grace that was given to Muili Ojo, who had the award at that games of being the first Nigerian and the first African to referee Olympic Games finals. All others who had been refereeing to semi-final. But that year, I had the grace of refereeing to the finals. And that was what made me very, very happy. And it was as a result of that award that the International Boxing Association then organized my birthday party for me in a grand style, because I was born in 1st of August. So the International Federation celebrated it for me in a high speed. After that, I went to the 84 Olympics, 88, 92, and 96. And by the grace of God, I was a member of the Technical and Rules Commission of the International Federation for 19 years. It is this commission that drafts the rules of the games, even up to now. I was also a member of the International Referees and Judges Commission.
Let's take it one after the other, sir.
Yeah.
Because my brain is even busted. International Technical and Rules Commission.
Yes.
I want it to be well spelled so that somebody listening to us can actually understand. You said about Technical and Rules Commission, International Boxing Federation of the Technical and Rules Commission. That is getting IBF. Then the second one you're about to mention before I cut you, sir. You say you are part of
the Referees and Judges Commission of International Boxing, Amateur International Boxing Association for 18 years. In fact, it was that commission that was first started. But I got permission to the technical rules later. And that commission, the Referees and Judges Commission, is responsible for training, upgrading, discipline, whatever about referees. It is that commission that appoints officials for any games or competitions organized by the International Federation. And by the grace of God, I had the privilege of attending, of refereeing World Boxing Championships, 6 World Boxing Championships, 5 World Cup Boxing Championships, and I had the privilege of officiating 6 also Commonwealth Games. By the grace of God, I was the pioneer secretary of Nigeria Boxing Referees and Judges Commission from 1974 to 1991. And from then, I became the president, which I relinquished in 2006. Every year then, they were returning me unopposed as the president. Not that alone, I was the secretary of Referees and Judges Commission for Africa for 6 years. And coincidentally, the president then, Baba late Taub Auchi, was my boxing father, like we used to say, made sure that I was also an instructor to every IOC-sponsored boxing seminars and Olympics. And by the grace of God, I had attended several seminars and several Olympic organized seminars, at least 4 of that. Out of the 4, I was lecturer to 2 of the seminars. I want to continue to mention one is
yes, we got a lot of histories there. But now we're going to the fundamental.
Just not missing. Back into contention here.
That's pass. Looking at boxing in your state, how do we rate presently? How does boxing look like in your state?
Thank you, Raymond. The question you have just asked me has been one of the things saddening my heart always. Because Oyo Western State, which transformed to Oyo State, had been the forerunner of boxing. And Lagos had always been competing seriously with us. Because the first indigenous chairman of Nigeria Boxing Association was occupied by late A.S. Agbaje. And that time, Oyo State was producing the best international boxers in Nigeria. People like Fatai, late Fatai, Yela, Raimi, Gbadamosi, Muda Azan, Joseph Oke, Shegun Adeyemi, Gani Adibisi, who died some 2 weeks ago. And things were moving very, very fast that time. I want to say that in the past, we were having tournaments every nook and corner of former Western states. And Oyo State. I was the one who introduced boxing centers to Ibadan. Because not many boxers could afford coming to the stadium at Liberty Stadium then, at that time, for practices. And things were moving. But these days, for the past 1 year, I have never heard of any recognized, please mind that word, recognized and approved boxing tournaments in Oyo State. The ones they have been organizing have been mushroom tournaments. Because any tournament held without a recognized boxing referee is not a tournament. And that is one of the problems they are having now in Oyo State. Boxing coaches officiating boxing, taking the place of boxing referees.
We should not be.
We should not be. But if somebody is opportuned to build a house and the house collapses in his lifetime, that person is the saddest person. Otherwise, one could have reported all these instances to the International Federation and the national body, and I know what will be called on. They will sanction your state for it. But because we don't want the association to go into the doldrum, oblivion, that time we had so many boxing referees on the list nationally. In fact, Oyo State had the largest number of referees. But today, Oyo State can only boast of 10 recognized boxing referees.
What could have happened along the line?
What happened was that the last time we organized any boxing officiating course was in 1979.
Last time?
Last time.
For Oyo State? For
Oyo State, when I was the secretary of Oyo State Boxing Association.
That was far, far away.
Since that time, there had been lukewarm attitudes of the government sponsoring any officiating course. And in fact, I must tell you, some of the referees who qualify as a continental or national or international referees sponsored themselves. I must tell you, when I traveled for my double combination, I sponsored myself to Uganda, bearing all the expenses. And that time, there was very good encouragement, incentives to boxers, and the ability to represent their clubs. But these days now, you know, money is prevalent in all situations. Now everything is money, money, money. And this money is not forthcoming to these boxers. So that is the death of boxing competitions that is causing some of the problems we have. And we don't have sponsors. Everybody wants to sponsor football. You can guess why. And which is which should not be. And some of the problems meditating the progress of boxing, with due respect to you sports writers associations, you are part of the cause because you focus mainly on football. You report mainly on football. Even when you are reporting on football, out of 30 minutes program, 25 minutes will be devoted to foreign football. Giving local something 5 minutes. Why? Has any of these foreign stations been doing that for local foreign something? No. We don't develop what we have. And that is causing a big headache. Even when sponsors want to sponsor, and they have not been hearing good news about the sport they want to sponsor, how would they throw their money into the drains? And
Presently in Oyo State, how many boxing clubs does Oyo State have?
Well, I must tell you, Raymond, since 2006, I have not been actively involved in the activities of boxing in Oyo State because of some reasons. Because I have a name to protect and I must maintain that name. And by the grace of God, I was the one who introduced Ibadan City Amateur Boxing Association when Ibadan was having only one council. But since the creation of the establishment of so many other local governments, we transformed it to Ibadan and Environ Amateur Boxing Associations, which I still look after as the chairman. And I can tell you that within Ibadan and Environ Amateur Boxing Association, we have not less than 169 clubs in Ibadan and Environ.
169 clubs.
169 clubs. And not less than 11 zones. And under each zone, we have contiguous clubs being under that zone to supervise their movement.
If we have,
but for the state, it's only the State Boxing Association and the Sports Council that can say much on that. And
if we have such kind of clubs, 169, should we say, now we're talking about boxing in Oyo State, the deterrent and what have been preventing. You talk about sponsors, but if you have 169 clubs, is that not enough to cater, train boxers and make them know the rudiments of the game? 169 clubs.
Thank you very much, Raymond. Let me tell you emphatically that even we had another meeting 3 days ago on how to revive boxing. Especially in Ibadan environment. And one of the limiting factors we have center on equipment. I can tell you that even Oyo State Sports Council does not boast presently of a standard boxing ring.
That means there is no single standard boxing ring in Oyo State.
I can tell you emphatically, even some 2 hours ago, no, I cannot say, but up to 2 hours ago, Oyo State cannot boast of a single approved ring for a tournament. So if somebody wants to organize a tournament, he has to go and hire at a very exorbitant rate. But let me say this. When the ring was in order, the present GM who took over, Boyega Makinde, has been doing very marvelously well. to give the ring out free of charge because neither the State Boxing Association nor the Sports Council had given any of the clubs in Ibadan any one single boxing pad or glove. But since we have been buying all this equipment on our own, I discussed with them and he has been so cooperative on that. But then, the solution, if we want competitions held, the ring must be there. Somebody just consulted the thing is giving it at a very exorbitant rate.
Is it the government who is responsible for the provision of that ring?
Yeah, I would say the government because it's the Sports Council, who is an arm of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, that supervises all the various sports councils, sporting associations. It is the Sports Council that purchases the equipment. And I want to say that most of this equipment we are still using up to some months ago were equipment bought by my indefatigable former governor, whom I regard as the best governor who has supported boxing in Oyo State. And that's General Medaishi Gembewa. Since then, we have not been so lucky. I can say that it was when Dabeja was there, he did well for boxing, for full sports too. And I hope, I'm appealing to Sheyi Makinde, who is also a sportsman. Do you know that Sheyi was an active footballer in his days?
Wow.
So that he should do something to revive sports. Because sports is the only avenue that is very competitive among nations, among states, among clubs. There has not been any other avenue where they say all the medical doctors in Oyo State will compete with medical doctors in other states. It's only in sports. And sports is a social event. They should not regard it as income generating something. The more they pump money into sports,
The more they repeat.
the more they repeat.
And
The less they spend on health. That's one thing they don't know.
Sport is life.
Sports is life, my brother. Thank you very much. If these people continue to engage in sports, the number of people going to hospitals for treatments for this will reduce drastically. And so, the estimate on health will greatly reduce. And the welfare of the people will be more productive. People will be more productive because their health standard will be very super and optimal.
We've got it this time for Lautaro Martinez.
It's been a good class so far. 34 minutes gone past the hour of 12. And it's still sport drilling on Pensioners 106.7 FM. We're actually drilling. And there are still more to drill actually. I still got Pamulio Joe right here with me. Of course, you're part of the show. 0908 111 1067 09081 11 1067 or 08080 1067 or 0808 0080 1067. Those are the studio lines. If you have one or two questions for Pamule Joe, you can always call in. Or you can send them messages on WhatsApp 0902672 1042. 0902672 1042.
Stages.
Are there enough coaches and personnel in our state for the development of boxing?
Very sad to say that Oyo State Sports Council does not boast of coaches, enough coaches to cope with the demands of coaching the clubs. I don't know whether they have more than 2 or 3 paid staff. But I'm able to tell you that I was privileged to be one of the people who discussed with the government on this question of appointing our various athletes and coaches on contract. But they have some contract coaches too, but they are not enough. Even for Ibadan, Ibadan alone does not need less than 15 coaches in order to be able to cope. And whereas I don't think they have more than 3 or 4 coaches
for the whole of Ibadan.
For the whole of Oyo State.
Oyo State.
For the whole of Oyo State, maximum 4 or 5.
Is it
even including the contract coaches?
Is it lack of funds or lack of technical personnel?
Both. You see, when Lamadeshina retired some people in 2000 and 2002, that affected the sports council drastically. But for the grace of this appointing them on contract basis now, I think everything could have gone down. But I want to say and appeal to the governor that if I know him to be a keen sportsman, that what he has to do is to make sure that they recruit personnel. And those who are there now should be retrained. But let me tell you this with due respect. Boxing is not static. It's almost weekly or bi-weekly that the rules in boxing are being reviewed. So, and all these coaches are living in the past. We know in the past we were using manual calculation for boxing. Now we are on the computer scoring system. Even with this computer scoring system now, there have been changes all the time. So even the few coaches they have to be trained and retrained to be up to the standard, not only in boxing, in all the sports. Because all these sports now are not static. Things are moving on an hourly basis.
Almost every day.
Almost every day.
Rules keep changing.
Regulations keep changing. Tactics keep changing. Everything keep changing.
Should we say we are behind when it comes to getting the vital information of rules? Because this week I was still reading when the Super Falcons lost out to Cote d'Ivoire Olympics. I saw the news, so I didn't really check. They said that they were not aware of the Wego rule. Now I'm looking at if these rules keep coming in every day, are we being left behind? Because I'm still going to go there in my next question. Are we being left behind since we seem not to be able to have access? Is it our own liability, our own laziness? How do you put it that way? For us not to have been.
Raymond, I want to tell you emphatically and with all confidence that anybody who wants to challenge me can challenge me on that. And I'm ready for facts and figures to be released. I want to tell you that in almost all the sports, I would say 70 or 75% of our coaches are not aware of the rules of the game they are playing, not to talk of being current. Most of them live in the past. I'm sorry I have to pay particular reference to boxing. by the grace of God, I was technical director of Nigeria Amateur Boxing Association, now Nigeria Boxing Federation. And what I did was to continue to lecture these coaches. You find out that by the time you are lecturing them, they open their mouth like this because they never heard of it. If a coach does not know the rules, what does he teach the boxers?
Boxers.
That was why I made it possible for them at that time that any time all these sports are preparing for any competition, referees or umpires of such games should be invited into the camp to give them
basic
talks on the basic changes of the rules and how to go about it. And that's the excel. With due permission and respect. That was why Oyo State boxers were excelling at that time. Because this time, I was organizing a referee to go to the clubs to teach them the rules of the game. And that gave them some ability to go far and excel in most of the competitions. But these days now, the coaches themselves do not know the rules.
And they want to teach boxers.
And they want to teach. What do they teach? They teach, it is what you know that you teach. They don't know the rules. And they have to know the rules in order to excel. Even some of them do not want to bother. And another problem is, these coaches see referees as their enemies. Like most Nigerians see police as our enemies. But if they see referees as partners in progress, move closer to them, it's going to be better for their coaching. Their skill will be improved. Everything will be improved. I don't want to say more than that because I'm on the air and people are hearing me throughout the whole world. When I was
You can be part of the program. 090-81-11-1067. 090-81-11-1067. Or 080-80-10-1067. 080-80-10-1067. You can send me a message on WhatsApp as well. 090-2672-1042. 090-2672-1042. Lot have been spoken already. If you're just joining us, you're on to Personals 116.7 FM Sport Drill with the Sports Illuminator. I have watched Olympic Games before. And for people who doesn't know how the scores have been counted in boxing, I think I have to go to this because I was thinking where I felt, they have done Nigeria Ojoro. This guy actually boxed better. He could have won it, but then when the judges come out with their results, we felt we have been, outdone by possibly what we feel like it is Ojoro. I think the listeners want to know how scores and where does a boxer actually pick up points during a boxing fight?
Raymond, the question you have just asked me gladdens my heart very well. And before I answer that question, I want to appeal to the management and the board of this station that they should deem it fit to give us, I mean, when I say us, some old technical people who have advanced to international and world level to continue to come and speak on the rules of the games. A station in Ibadan, if you permit me to say, Amodu we did that in the past. And if we do the same also, people will get to know of it. One of the greatest problems facing boxing is what you have just asked me. There are processes for a blow to be accepted. The rule says a blow to the opponent cannot be regarded as a scoring blow. We have scoring and non-scoring blows. But most of the non-scoring blows were regarded as scoring by our people. The first one is that the boxing target is half of the face to the ear to the jaw, that down to the navel. Those are the areas you can touch that is regarded. If you beat the arm, beat the back, beat the leg, no, not accepted. That is the target. And when the blow gets to the target, it must be to the marked fist. The fist, the hand must be closed. And the upper hand like this is the fist, is marked white. It is that area that touches the target.
Okay, that means for every, if you are on Facebook, quickly, you can go on to Personals 106.7, Personals FM 106.7, or you go to Personals Agbalode. Babu Joe is giving a lecture, and it's showing how it is, so you can watch it live and understand what we're saying here. That means for every fist, there's a marked.
Yes.
It's marked.
Yes.
And that is
white.
It's marked white for every.
Yes. The arm closed, left or right.
Right. And it's marked.
And it's marked white.
That means that is the place where.
It is that marked right? Not the back of the glove, or the open glove.
But it marked
the fist area.
Okay.
That touches the target.
Any other.
But the unfortunate thing is that, from experience, let me tell you this. If the blow touches the target with the mark area, you won't hear any noise.
Come again, sir.
If the blow,
yes.
For instance, I throw a blow to you, and it has hit the target with the fist. The normal fist. The blow with the sound will not be so pronounced. But when the hit is getting to your target with the open hand like this, or the back, you have boo, 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 boo.
Oh.
And that is where the people, the spectators say,
but it doesn't actually give a mark.
It is non-scoring blow.
Okay.
You people think all these things are scoring.
They are scoring.
And they are not scoring. Not that alone. If, like I said, the target first, hitting the target with the fist, but the rule says it must have a weight behind it. So all these romantic blows, we call it, blows that land without any pressure. It's not a scoring blow.
It's also not scoring.
It's not scoring. That is why recent boxing now, you don't have infighting now. Because in infighting, when the two boxers are very close and they continue to exchange punches, it is the first punch and the last punch that scores.
That scores. When two boxers are close to.
Why? All others will not carry the full weight of the body. They are romantic blows because they are very close. There cannot be any force behind the arm. and you spectators or handlers will go, see how many punches he has hit him.
Wow.
And this new boxing scoring system has taken care of all those things. And that's why the computer scoring system now has taken care of it. The non-scoring blows are being accepted as by
with spectators.
People as scoring, whereas they are not scoring. Out of about 20 or 30 blows thrown by a boxer, maybe 2 or 3 are accepted.
Accepted and scored.
As scoring blows. But the others, non-scoring. And they say, he's so good, because you look at how many times he hit him. Did he hit? Did he blow? Land on the target?
On the target.
Did he land with the knuckle?
With the knuckle.
Did he carry enough pressure?
So, knowledge.
Because if these things do not happen, no scoring.
How many coaches, boxing coaches in your state are aware of this? I want to bring it back to that. Because you just now, what you just said now, first time I'm going to hear it, I never knew there's a marked.
Yes,
I never knew there's a marked
white.
I never knew it has to carry some kind of weight.
Yes.
I mean, I know many people don't actually know about this.
Exactly.
But now this is knowledge.
Mm.
And you just said not many coaches. No matter we don't have many coaches right there in your state, and even those who have are not even aware of the rules. Then that means when we go to tournament, we might as well, when we fail, it is not down to the boxers.
Exactly what we are saying, you are very correct, my brother. But the problem is, by the time the coaches come back from competitions, I've never seen many of them, even few, telling their management the truth.
No, that's good.
Telling them why they have lost. They also say they have been robbed. They have been cheated. Whereas they have not done the correct thing. The boxers do not know the rules, like what you just said now about football.
Yeah, our time is fast spent. Let me quickly ask 1 or 2 questions before we go. What does it take to be a boxer in 1 minute or 2?
To be a boxer, you must be highly disciplined. And boxing is a character molding sport.
A character molding sport.
Because the definition of boxing is a game of self-defense. When you are you defend yourself, not that you go and inflict injuries or punishment on the others. Whoever wants to be a boxer must abstain from so many things, because we forbid them from drinking all this alcohol. You know them, marijuana, this and that. They must be of good conduct in and outside of the ring. Because what they do outside is also reckoned with in assessing them or accepting them. And they must be physically fit. Before you join boxing, there must be a certificate from a qualified medical doctor testing you for the fitness. And before any tournament, there must be a medical test that you are fit for something. And I can tell you that boxing is the only sport that has the severest medical coverage. Because by the grace of God, I was a member when they said they wanted to throw boxing out of the Olympics because of safety measures. I was in Leipzig University, organized by International Federation, where we camped 12 female boxers and 12 male boxers and put them on distance. So the medical test is very important. That is why we devised this head guard the tooth guard, the core protector, the breast pad for the boxers, for the female boxers.
Quickly, because of our time, we have to. One last question, sir. Prefer problems of sports and solutions. In a jiffy, our time is fast spent.
One of the problems is, let me talk on to the government. The government should take sports more seriously. The question of fire brigade approach should stop, because it's always on fire brigade approach. Few days to the time, gather the boys. Are they going to manufacture their legs? Then they should do more to entice and encourage these athletes. And all those people who are the zeal in sports should be taken care of, so that the new coming ones will have something to encourage them to engage in the sports. When they see somebody who participated in boxing did not do well, the player will be so glad to release him or her to continue in that sport.
No.
And government should reduce the import duties, if not make sports equipment free, the duties free, because you pay through your nose. I know how much we paid through boxing computer scoring system to bring it in. We will buy computer scoring system for $10. They will say you have to pay $500 here.
To import it and bring it inside Nigeria.
Because they have the ability to reassess the price. So the government should make sure that boxing, that sports equipment are duty free. And to the parents, if they release the awards to sports, I think they'll be glad for it. And you know what is happening now? The richest people now are sportsmen.
Definitely.
Followed by these athletes. What somebody is going to wait for in 3-4 years will be given to a boxer for a tournament. That's true.
We have to go now.
And you'll be exposed to know so many people.
Definitely.
And get things done better than others.
Yes, we have to go now. 12:59, and I have to say very big thank you to Pamela Ojo for being on the show. Thank you so much for showing, sir. It's been a lovely class out with you, and I hope you guys out there have enjoyed every bit of this. Like I said, this program is strategically designed for grassroots sport. The government alone can do it. That is why everybody has a part to play, and this program is for the development of sports within our state and of course further beyond, as much as God help us. It's been a lovely time on Personals 106.7 FM Sport Drill, Saudi package. And of course, until next week when I come back to the show, I say, like I used to say, sport is live. But don't forget, tomorrow, between the hours of 3 to 4 p.m, Sports Tuzzle, you know how we do. Join me on that again. And of course, to my producer, Babatunde Tiamiyu, I say very big thank you to that, and to the management of Personals 106.7 FM. I say good afternoon.
3-pointer from Kemba Walker. Time is up for the United States. They are beaten again for a second night in a row. It's Serbia who come out on top. Justin Trudeau, can he make it one nil to Roma? He can! And got to follow up against the Channel. We'll see the lead in the Derby del Capitale. Can he equalise here on the turn? Pulls it back! You're a shot, got it this time for Lautaro Martinez, who sets Inter on their way. He's got it. He's got the Rockets. Manchester City the lead.
The time is 1 o'clock. It's news around the world.